Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're staring into an abyss that made the hair on the back of the necks of 20th century physicists stand on end. We're talking about a phenomenon that is officially considered broken in our reality. Imagine an everyday situation: you're standing in front of a fence with two vertical slits, and you're throwing tennis balls at them. Logic tells you that each ball will pass through either the left slit or the right one. Eventually, you'll end up with two neat piles of balls against the back wall. That's our familiar world, predictable and sensible. Now, imagine that as one of those balls approaches the fence, it suddenly turns into a ghostly cloud. It passes through both slits simultaneously, collides with itself on the other side, and then, the moment you decide to set up a camera to catch it in the act, it gets scared and starts acting like a regular, boring tennis ball again. This isn't a pitch for a Twilight Zone reboot. This is the real-world double slit experiment, and for 100 years, it's been the biggest headache in science. The internet is crawling with conspiracy theories claiming that scientists are hiding a terrifying truth, that our world is a digital simulation designed to save processing power. Today, we're going to find out what physicists are actually hiding, why this experiment shatters our understanding of reality, and whether the world truly only exists when we're looking at it. Let's dive in. The backstory: losing our grip on reality. It all started back in the 19th century when Thomas Young wanted to settle a debate: is light a particle or a wave? He shone a beam through two slits and saw a complex pattern of light and dark bands on the screen, not just two lines. This is called interference. Think of two ripples in a pond hitting each other. In some places they get stronger, and in others, they cancel each other out. The conclusion seemed obvious: light is a wave. But in the 20th century, quantum mechanics came along and ruined everything. Scientists learned how to fire individual particles, like electrons, at the slits. Now, an electron is supposed to be a solid little piece of matter, a microscopic bullet. If you fire them one by one, they should just hit the screen in two distinct spots. But reality turned out to be insane. Even when electrons were fired one at a time, that wave pattern still appeared on the screen. This meant that each individual electron somehow knew about both slits and passed through both at the same time, interfering with itself. Physicists were stunned. How can a single particle be in two places at once? The observer effect, physics' greatest nightmare. This is where we hit the moment that birthed 1,000 conspiracy theories. Scientists tried to get clever. They thought, okay, if the electron is passing through both slits like a wave, let's put a detector right at the slits. We'll just watch which hole it actually goes through. And this is where the thing happened that Richard Feynman called the only mystery of quantum mechanics. As soon as a measuring device, an observer, was present at the slits, the magic vanished. The electrons stopped acting like waves and started flying like ordinary rocks, leaving only two stripes on the screen. It was as if nature slammed the door in our faces. As long as we aren't looking, the world is an ocean of infinite possibilities where everything happens at once. But the moment we open our eyes, the world collapses into a single, rigid, understandable image. This is the observer effect. This specific moment is what makes people believe we're being watched, or that we live inside a program that only renders textures when they're in our field of vision. What exactly is being called a conspiracy? Why is the idea that scientists are hiding the truth so popular online? Because the official scientific conclusions sound like esoteric gibberish to the average person. Many interpretations of this experiment suggest that objective reality doesn't exist. If matter changes its fundamental properties based on our attention, does that mean the moon only exists when a human, or even a mouse, is looking at it? There's the famous Copenhagen interpretation. It states that a particle isn't anywhere until we measure it. It exists as a wave function, a fog of probabilities. To many, this sounds like an admission that the world is an illusion. Scientists are accused of being afraid to acknowledge the role of consciousness in creating the universe because it would destroy the entire foundation of materialistic science. But is that really what's happening? Are they hiding the source code of the Matrix? The skeptic's voice: decoherence versus magic. Let's come down to earth for a second and listen to what academic physicists say in response to simulation theories. They have a boring but very powerful explanation called decoherence. You see, an observer in physics isn't necessarily a conscious being with eyes. An observer can be a single photon of light or a molecule of air that bumps into the electron. For an electron to remain a wave, it has to be perfectly isolated from the rest of the world. But as soon as the particle interacts with anything external, its wave nature collapses. Scientists aren't hiding results, they're trying to explain why we don't see quantum miracles in our daily lives. Your cat doesn't turn into a wave when you leave the kitchen because it's constantly being observed by trillions of air molecules and thermal radiation. The world around us is too noisy for quantum magic to last long. It's not a conspiracy, it's a technological limit. We're trying to hear a whisper in the middle of a roaring stadium. The wildest interpretations, from many worlds to time loops. But even if we strip away the mysticism, the remaining scientific theories are just as shocking. If you thought scientists were hiding something simple, you were wrong. They're hiding options that are even scarier than a simulation. Take the many worlds interpretation by Hugh Everett. According to this, the electron actually does go through both slits, but in doing so, reality itself splits. In one universe, the electron went through the left, in another, it went through the right. And you, as the observer, split too. We live in an infinite tree of possibilities where every quantum event births a new branch of reality. Scientists don't shout this from the rooftops because it's impossible to prove, but mathematically, it's flawless. Then there's the even weirder delayed choice experiment. Scientists tried to cheat the particle by deciding whether to look at it or not after it had already passed through the slits. The results showed that the particle somehow knew the future decision of the experimenter and changed its past behavior. This literally suggests that cause and effect can switch places. Conclusion: the truth is somewhere in between. So, are they hiding the truth? Honestly, physicists are some of the most transparent people on Earth because they're the first to admit, we have no idea how this works. The truth isn't buried in secret archives, it's right there on the surface, in every scientific paper on quantum mechanics. The problem is that this truth doesn't fit into the human brain, which evolved to survive in a world of solid objects. We want the world to be logical, but it turns out to be a collection of probabilities and mathematical abstractions. The double slit experiment isn't proof that we're in a prison or a computer. It's a reminder that we are tiny beings on the surface of a planet who have only just begun to understand the true scale of the universe's architecture. We're peeking through a keyhole and seeing only a tiny fraction of a massive performance. What do you think? Do you believe in decoherence, or are you leaning toward the idea that our minds literally build this world out of quantum fog? Let me know in the comments. This is one of those topics where your guess might be just as close to the truth as a Nobel Prize winner's. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and remember, reality exists as long as you're looking at it. See you in the next one.